Well, I just got through looking, casually perusing the Trimet board meeting, and I got to tell you, do you see what I see when you watch these productions of the Trimet board? And I'll tell you what I see. I see a group of people who are completely isolated from the reality of their transit system. They it's like none of the public exists. The blogs don't exist, the Twitter feed doesn't exist, Facebook comments don't exist. All the feedback that's the news media doesn't exist. All the feedback that's swirling around out here in the real world never comes to their attention. The board never talks about it. The general manager never talks about it. It's just not there to them. It doesn't exist to them. It's way out there. It has no relevance to what they're doing. And this is what we see month after month after month. We see a board of directors and a general manager and his little crew of highly paid people living in an alternate reality, which is completely excludes the public, in our opinions. They don't address anything real. All the controversial subjects are just skipped over. As you notice, they did their little production about the court citation. It was all bullshit, and then Warner made sure to move the subject on very quickly. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want questions about it. I didn't hear anything on the coin report. Of course, I haven't watched the whole thing. It's hard to watch because it's such a stage production that it's just hard for me to watch. I barely have gotten to the public speakers. I've got so much to do here, business wise and otherwise, that I'm having extreme trouble keeping up with all my blog activities. There was one real interesting part today, and that was Lane Jensen's one man protest. And I thought that was a great, I thought he did great on that. I really supported him on that. And one thing I'll say about Lane, and people really short him. They look at Lane, the crazy Lane. Okay, there is a crazy Lane. I know that as well as anybody. But then there's also a brilliant Lane. There's two of them. There's two people there. And if they look at his work and they look at the stuff that he's actually produced, like I do, I look at the actual content of the material he's produced. It's excellent. It's excellent material. And nobody else has produced it. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to Trimet material. Okay, this is a guy that has totally immersed himself in this material over the last 5 months, 6 months, to the point where he can consider himself an expert. And I happen to concur. I think he knows a lot about what's going on out there. And anyway, he did this one man protest. But I will say this, I was impressed with the way Warner handled it. Okay, this is why they have Warner up in charge there. Warner never lost his temper. He ruled him out of order, but then when he wouldn't comply, he sent David Oxier to talk to him, and David Oxier escorted him out. And it was all done very civilly. I mean, you got to hand it to people that are able to keep their cool that well. I mean, I know Warner is a tough customer. You're not going to be able to move Warner. You're not going to be able to upset Warner. He's not. This guy has been around forever. Okay, and he's very seasoned. I mean, he just walked into the Trimet board and became the chairman. He had no experience with this. I've never seen that before. Here, you're coming in brand new to the Trimet board, and we're going to make you the chair. I see that Tiffany's not showing up anymore. I guess her term is over. She doesn't need aggravation anymore. Of course, she wasn't any good for riders anyway. So, I mean, I'm just trying to point out that the Trimet board meetings are a script exercise. You're not going to get anything here that's of value because they script it out. And all the stuff that's swirling in the community, they don't talk about it. The public testimonies is nice, but if it wasn't for my being able to bring these public testimonies into the public domain, nobody would ever know about them. And they're aware of that. That's why they don't broadcast their meetings. That's why they don't have any interest in broadcasting. They don't want anybody to know about their shit. And we've seen it over and over. They are secret. Joe Rose asked Fetch if there's raises in the contingency, and they said maybe there are and maybe there aren't. What kind of fucking answer is that? They get away with it because we have a governor who doesn't care and developers who run Trimet. The developers have the money. They have the power, and we don't. The citizens don't count here, and nothing has changed. All the media stories, nothing has changed. It's obvious to me. Nothing is going to change. So if you're waiting for change at TriMet, you're going to be waiting a long time.